Hello and welcome. These are horse racing selections for Thursday, the 16th of November. I am Flat Cap Callum and I'm hoping you are all very, very well. All right, just in case there's any bookmakers watching, to be clear, there's nothing to see here. It's just a group of chums hanging out on a YouTube channel, sharing some selections of some big prices. Nothing for you to worry about whatsoever. You can carry on going your merry way. We're fine hanging out in our little private members club. So you can carry on. Thanks very much. All right. Well, it's the gift that keeps on giving. November, isn't it? Yeah, I think we can stop worrying about the stats for a while. I think that's to be sure. So we hit a zinger finally on Friday. We had a nice little return on Saturday, and then the first time I've done a video since yesterday. We go and technically, well, for some it would what it is technically, even for some it will trump Friday. So we had another cracking day. And after what looked like it was going to be a bad day as well. We've been hitting big price doubles and then combination doubles, and then we go in and hit on Wednesday a Yankee, two places, two winners, and not bad prices at all. I mean, it's just man, isn't it? Some you just have to accept that it's the way the gig goes. It just can all concertina. And last year it was nicely spread out a little bit, and this year it's all coming together. Or maybe I've been having you on for months, and I just really wanted to see who really cared about the channel, and I've just been putting out some absolute duffers, and now I've worked out like who really wants to be here. I've ratcheted it up a little bit. All right. Anywho, we'll get on to Thursday, but clearly Thursday we're going to go bananas, aren't we? I've got £86 staking plan. I have not. I have not got that on Thursday because everything done here is done in a disciplined way, and that is what I advise everybody following to do. We've had a very nice few days, it has to be said, but also it has to be said the staking is the same on the channel. There are plenty of people, hotheads out there. Some of the newer to gambling. Sometimes, if I was being generalist, it's often the younger people out there who will absolutely be eager to go gung ho and start doing this, that, and the other. If you can go for a spell of 5 months of not really hitting anything particularly decent, and then you go and hit two in a couple of days, then you can have 5 months of it not being very decent again. And actually, if it was like that, we'd still be in a nice profit situation. So yes, please be careful with what you're doing with your staking and not get carried away. So the reality of Thursday is I've spent quite a number of hours at it, and I have come up with 5 horses for the channel for Thursday. So there is one bet Thursday. It is a Canadian. You will not be disappointed with the prices. But there are 5 horses, 5 races, 1 Canadian, £11.50 is the stake. So we are not that much over what is traditionally a half-day stake for the channel. So 20 is an average day stake, £11.50 therefore is a smidgen above a half-day stake. What I'd also say about Thursday is the success we've been having, the obvious success we've been having is on the all-weather. I think that last week we hit 3 out of 5 places on a Canadian at Dundalk, which was nice enough. Didn't get us any big win. But then on Friday it was a win double at Dundalk. Saturday it was a combination between Newcastle and Chelmsford. And then Newcastle and Dundalk let us down on Wednesday, but Kempton saved the day. It was the Kempton bet. So the all-weather's been doing this nicely. What I've got for Thursday is I have not got any horses at Chelmsford. I've gone through the card. There was a few things that I felt were marginal, but not enough if I'm trying to stick to a strict criteria for the channel. So no Chelmsford horses from me on Thursday. The 5 I've got are jumps horses. a couple in the more obvious races, the bigger field handicaps, and one of them's in a kind of an obvious weight race for some in terms of it's a bad each way race. As far as from a betting point of view, it's bad for the bookmakers each way race. And there's a couple of less obvious races where I've picked out a couple as well. So yes, five horses is all I've got. That being said, if you go back the jumps, we did have a couple of jumps winners on Saturday. We had a couple on Saturday. Friday, I only had one jumps horse and it placed. And Thursday we had a 20-1 winner on the jump. So we've been doing bits, but this time of year, I mean, it's hard all the time on jumps to connect things together. But this time of year particularly, you might get the odd one or two. It is hard to then slot them together. And when you see the bet I've got today, anybody who is not familiar with the channel, I think would take one look at Thursday's bet and think that I've just injected myself with heroin and started to do a YouTube channel, which is not actually true at all. I might be a little bit bleary-eyed at the time I'm doing this video because it's later than I planned to, but I was really going down a few rabbit holes with research. But yes, it's the type of bet that will cause alarm bells if suddenly it started popping off in lots of places. Anyway, right, what we got? We're going to review Wednesday, and then we've got Thursday's bets. Just to mention the golf starts on Thursday morning, and I said there was going to be free outright in the DP World Tour Championships, which there was, but the side bet was causing me no end of havoc because 365 kept changing markets and they kept withdrawing markets, so I wouldn't go and look, and then the market I was looking for was not there, and now they've actually reinstated a lot of the markets. So I ended up shopping and changing a few times. And so originally it was advertised to be a Yankee side bet for 365. It's ended up being a double. And then because there was two, they marked up wrong, basically, when they kept chopping and changing. I don't know what they were doing, but they put two markets in. I was like, why are those prices? So if you've got those two prices, it was the Asian side market and the Scandinavian / Swedish side market, Norlander and Noah. Those prices have long gone from what I put in the comments. So I wouldn't be recommending them in the way that I did. It was a 365 only. Originally it was 365 only because you could only do it with certain markets. Those markets are back, but the prices have come down. So we've got main three golfers, and then some of you will be on the two sides. So we've got a £6 golf bet. That's that. I'm going to flag because I got distracted by watching horses tonight, and other stuff I'll get to afterwards. I haven't got the tips and stuff done, so it will be on tomorrow's video. So tips the league update from last weekend will be on tomorrow's video. All right, where are we at? Let's spin through this. So it was a 299 win on Friday from our sort of was it 20? Was it? Let me have a check. Was it 20 outlay? 1950 outlay. We got 299 back, and Wednesday 2150. So it was a smidgen higher than Friday, and it was 338.70 back. It will vary depending on what prices you got, but that was after we took a bit of a beat. So Newcastle. If you look on that straight course on the handicaps, the high numbers, definitely it was one race where it didn't happen. You look Friday, there's three races, bit trickier, nurseries and stuff, but we'll get to that. But no good. Didn't really look like it was trying. We then did hit it second after being well backed in. We didn't count for anything. As Jamira was poor. And that one was not great after a break. So we had 1 second place, 4 dots really, which didn't really give us an interest. So that was nothing back at Newcastle. Dundalk, try hard. Certainly tried. I think it was 8th. It wasn't too far away, and it was backed into 22-1. So the hundreds clearly was value, but not enough of a performance to get us in there. But I think they did try a little bit on that horse. and then the next two no good, and limited edition looked like it was going to get placed and then wasn't. So before we got to Kempton, we'd had 9 horses run, we'd had 1 second place, and broadly speaking 8 disappointments. So I think people were just sort of accepting that they had a little flurry last week and fair dues, and we're back to less so, but not to be. So in the first 2 days at Kempton, and rarely, I was actually in a betting shop, and I watched those 2 races. You get to a point in life, and I sort of alluded to this yesterday. Certain things, I'm not one for going to betting shops. I don't have time, and you know, as I've sort of said, like, you know, I actively choose not to go and hang out and spend my life in betting shops and be a full-time professional punter. Because I don't want that to be my life, spending my whole day in betting shops. There's some nice folk in betting shops, but equally there are some people I'd be less keen hanging out with all day in betting shops. So it does vary. There's some very nice folk in there. Equally, there's some other people who just really would probably have a much better quality of life if they didn't ever step foot in a betting shop again. I was actually in a betting shop, collecting some money when watching those 2. So I was like, Granary Queen. I thought that was quite solid, to be fair. I think I had it better than even money as a place chance. So it wasn't given the best ride by Charlie Bishop, but it was good enough to get placed. So I was like, well, that starts off at least. And then Miss Bellabrand, I mean, I slightly talked it down on yesterday's video. But what I did say was it wasn't anything I was thinking that was too strong in that race. There wasn't, because it got to the front and that was it. Stayed there, SP'd at 33s. So that was getting a few people excited, because suddenly our day from awfulness had actually turned a small profit because of that one. And then the third leg, Graphite, I thought that was a really competitive race, but I thought that was the right horse from a value perspective, and sure enough they had to give it a right good go, and was second. So we were very close, I thought, thinking, we almost hit another double. And then going on to the last leg, what I said in the video last night, that was the best one of the 4. And in my head I'm thinking, I've said it was the best one of the 4. You know now that's going to be the one that stuffs this bet up, or the horse is going to come 5th, or it's going to come 4th and only half the people are going to get paid out. Lo and behold, Billy Loughnane ran an absolute cracker on it. He hadn't had a winner that day at Kempton that day, and he goes and gets to the front early doors, stays there, and nothing could get past him. And it drifted to 16. So Channel was 9s, 40s, 20s and 12s. I think SP's 6, 33s, 14s, because that shortened up just before the race, and 16s, first company drifted. So we had a bit of drift on one and shortens on the other. So it will vary to where you put it on, but I think anyone who put it on early and got bog will have absolutely fared best. Interestingly, you know, if you've got short-term memory, in August it felt like all we said in August was, haven't Sky Bet users done well, because if you've got Sky Bet you would have got this place, that place. And then what have we had over the last few days? We've actually had people who kind of bog users, or best price guaranteed getters, or however you want to describe it. They're the ones that have fared better. So it flips and flips. But in August, I'm sure everybody just got fed up and was thinking, well, I haven't got a Sky Bet account, I can't win. That is not true. I said it wasn't true. We now have got to the point where it's not true again, and legitimately with the evidence there. So that's good. Just to add that first company as well. Billy Loughnane was riding for David Loughnane, and just a little bit of trivia for those of you who wonder about these things or don't know. So Billy Loughnane's dad is Mark Loughnane. He is a trainer. Billy rides for Mark quite a lot. Billy also has had a few rides for David Loughnane, but David Loughnane is not related to Mark or Billy Loughnane. So they are father and son. Dave is not related to them. He just happens to have the same surname. And actually, that's the first time Billy has won on a horse for David Loughnane. He's won quite a few horses rides for his dad, but that's the first time he's won on David Loughlane's horse, who is not actually a relative. They have the same surname. Interesting horse trivia for some. Others won't care, I'm sure. All right, so that's that. So we finished 21.50 on 338 70 back. As I said, some will have done better, some will have been a little bit behind that. I think if you were on SP prices, I think it worked out about 40 less than that, something like that. So it shouldn't be too far off. So yeah, what was I going to say? So stats for the week clearly look good because that's the stats for the week. We've actually started the first day of the week. That's the best first day of the week we've had in a very long time. And that ranks as, from a profit amount point of view, that ranks as the third best day. Friday was now the fourth best day. I think that's how that's right. Third and fourth best day, something like that. I think that's right. Third and fourth best day. No, fourth and fifth best day. That's what I should say. Fourth and fifth. So Wednesday was the fourth best day, which demotes Friday down to the fifth best day. So we had the fourth and fifth best day ever on the channel, second and third best day of the year in a very short space of time. So just accept you've had your fill. Don't go crazy. And if I'm saying 11.50 for Thursday and you did the 21.50 on Wednesday, then do 11.50 on Thursday. If you do half the stakes, you carry on do half the stakes. If you double my stake, you double your stake, whatever it is. But don't suddenly dramatically change stuff. All right. Okay. Right. Here it is then. This is the bet. Oh, that was going to say, yeah, stats, annualised stats. Now we're sort of sitting pretty over 800 after those 2 days. So yeah, it did look like literally a week ago we were on our way back down to zero, but no, we're up. We've got to 800 for the year, so we're not where we were last year. We haven't been turning over as much as last year, but yeah, I'll absolutely take 800 to be on that at the moment. 18% profit margin, and clearly since I've changed the stats, that's now all looking very rosy as well. Okay. Here it is then, folks. Is the monster for Thursday. 2 Taunton, 2 Market Rasen, 1 Punchestown. It's quite Market Rasen meeting is actually my favourite one when I started looking through. Okay, let me talk you through what do I remember, because some of these made it on the sheet a long time ago. Well, not on this physical piece of paper, in my notes. 115 Taunton, fortuitous favour. That's the one I mentioned is a bit of a bad each way race. You got a right shorty favourite in there. I think that horse absolutely has shown enough ability to be vying for a place in that race. Clearly, if Steps on it, could do something even more special. But Anthony Hunnable trains it, is in good form. There's obviously going to be a question because it's its third race in a novice maideny type 1. So after this, it qualifies for handicaps. So how much do you really want to try and expose it to the handicapper on the third one? There's absolutely that kind of question mark against it. But in terms of actual ability compared to other horses in the race, no way should it be 50-1. Should be more around the 16s mark, really. And that's still because there's a right shorty in there that I don't think it should be as short as it is anyway. Probably favourite, but not the price it is. So I think there's a lot of value in fortuitous favour, and it's worth trying at 50-1 definitely. If it goes on merit, then it should really be a third to fifth kind of horse in that race. That's how I would read it. But as I said, there's a slight question mark about how much you really want to try when this is the race that will define what your handicap qualification mark's going to be. So yeah, we'll see. So that's the first leg. Second leg, 215 Market Rasen, Bittersweet Symphony. What do we like about that horse? It's getting back on slightly better ground. I mean, it's on the softer side at Market Rasen, but it's not proper soft. It's good to soft is how it's described at the moment. The horse wants better ground. If you actually look last time, it ran in an amateur jockey's race, so you can scrub that out. First time out, you can scrub that out. So there's reasons why it underperformed. If you actually then look at the sort of solidness of last season, it was running off a couple of pound higher and being competitive enough to get close to framing. And it's reunited with Charlie Todd. And Charlie Todd's got a particularly good record at Market Rasen. If you go start looking at stats at Market Rasen, he's got 2 rides at Market Rasen. The other one's not too bad either. I just was concerned about it stepping up in distance a little bit, but not too bad. But this is my favoured Charlie Todd ride. So yeah, Charlie Todd rode this horse for its better runs last year. He's back on first time this season, and he rides Market Rasen particularly well in terms of win strike rate, and also he's chucked up a few decent price winners at that. So that's Bittersweet Symphony, 250 Market Rasen, 345 Punchestown. We're taking a bit of a flyer. We've got a couple of flyers. We're going to take a flyer on this. It's one of the two decent field sizes at Punchestown. I've left the other one. I've gone with this one. It's the middle distance hurdle one, and there was nothing in there of a decent price. Whilst like you really can argue much in there. So I found myself being attracted to CSET. Now CSET was a decent standard flat horse. Nothing in the pedigree to say it's going to do well on jumps particularly, but it was a decent standard flat horse, and it had some particularly good form when the ground was a bit awful, basically. So on your soft and heavy side, and the ground doesn't look great at Punchestown, I think, for Thursday. So I think from a ground perspective, you've got no issue in there. The thing that attracts me to it as well is it's trained by Shark O'Hanlon, and it's got his regular rider on, Shane Fenlon, who takes £7 off it. And it's making its handicap debut. Now it's run... We've talked about this recently a lot. It ran 3 qualifying races over the summer, all on good ground. The ground is decidedly different. The distance is different. They've put it up to 2 mile and 5, and I think that's quite interesting. Not from a breeding perspective, because breeding says that horse won't go that far, and that would be a one worry certainly. But I think they're putting it up there for a reason, and Shark O'Hanlon does very well on horses running on handicap debut or second time in handicap. So there's 2 bits in there. So yeah, it's one of them ones where you're like, okay, I can sort of argue a case here about what might be occurring there. So suddenly this horse will perform better over a longer distance on that boggy ground potentially. We'll see, but I think it's putting up in distance and change, and the ground is completely different to how it ran in maidens deliberately. We'll see whether it's primed. You've got no issue with that trainer running horses off a break. He does very well off horses running off a break, and he does pretty decent when he picks up decent standard flat horses and manages converting them to hurdlers. So on bare form of maiden, you wouldn't have it. You wouldn't take it on a break. You wouldn't take it on the distance. But I think it's an interesting stable for a handicap debutant that's got decent quality black flat form on that kind of ground. So that's CSET. Then we go 351 Market Rasen, Oliver's Island. Oliver's Island is a December horse. So almost all its best runs have been in December. However, it's hardly ever run in November. And when it's run at the end of November, it also ran decent. So it's the time of year for this horse. It's won over the course and distance on the same handicap mark. It does go well fresh. There's quite a lot in its favour. It will get marked against it because it's an ageing horse. But there's a lot of ticks for me in the box. But it's one of those horses when you start looking at the form, it's a particular time of year, and it's very specific. December seems to be when it peaks. It's not a horse you want to be bracking in the spring. So I'm hoping that first time out, sort of mid-November, is close enough to December for that one. So we'll try Oliver's Island, and then we're going to finish off with a right biggie, big field handicap, 405 Taunton Dolly Bird. This one's trained by Chris Honor, who really sadly lost their stable star, Grumpy Charlie, recently. They had a fatal heart attack. And this horse is another making a handicap debut, significantly making a handicap debut, stepping up in distance. If you look at the maiden form, I mean, you think that maiden form's bad. Have a look at the maiden form on that one. Atrocious. There is 0 in any runs that horse has done that makes you think that's worth backing. And then because of that fact, it's ridiculous, like £20 out of the handicap in terms of its actual official mark. So on paper, it's got no chance. If you look at the breeding of the horse, all bar one of its siblings, who seem to basically something didn't go well with that whilst in training, all of the others have got decent form when they've stepped up in distance. So they're rated way higher than this horse, all of the half siblings bar the one. They're rated higher. They've all improved stepping up in distance, so middle distance horses. So on handicap debut, stepping up in distance, that's where we're putting our faith. Because I looked through the race and I felt it was a really weak race from a pricing point of view. The shorter end of the market, fair enough, it's where it probably should be, but the rest of it, I was like, if you get in 5 places, if we hold for 16 runners, I think that's worth taking it a big price on there for that horse having a massive improvement for stepping up. It may well not do, but equally I couldn't see anything else where I want to be arguing a case at a price to say maybe that's worth that or that. And I think at 80 to 1 it's worth trying. So that's the case for this bet that makes it look like I'm high as a kite whilst I've written it. So long explanation, but hopefully helpful. 10p each way Canadian. So that's each way doubles, trebles, 4-fold and a 5-fold. So it's £5.20 bet, 260 times 2, so it's 520. 50p each way singles on all 5. So that's nice and straightforward. That's £5. That's 520 plus 5. And then we've got a 40p each way double on the 2 big prices at Taunton. So that's Fortuitous Favour and Dolly Bird. 40p each way double. And a smaller double, 25p each way double on the 2 market Rasens, Bittersweet Symphony and Oliver's Island. That takes you to £11.50 for the bet for Thursday. Sky our best from an extra place point of view. Then it's Betway or Betfred, because I think it might be that one. Betfred are 4 as well as Sky, and I think it might be that one where Betway are 6 as well as Sky. But most bookies are 3, 3, 5, 3 and 5. And when I say most, that would include at least Sky, Betway, Betfred, 365 or Paddy joint 4th best, 888 Unibet joint 6th best. Not all bookies are doing the 5th place on that bottom leg, so it's a bit of a watch out for that one. Is it? I think it's that one. There's one of them where half the bookies are 5 and half are 4. So have a look around. All right, that is that. I think there was other stuff I was going to talk about, but it's got dead late, so I'm just going to leave it there. Right, good. So I should be back for Thursday night for Friday. We've got another all-weather fest as well as Cheltenham starting, so I think it might be a bit of a busy staking plan for Friday. We'll see. And the outlook, I think, at the moment is that Saturday's got some interesting opportunities, but looking ahead to Sunday, if some of the field sizes hold, it could well be bonus video bet territory. So I'll have a look at that a little bit nearer the time. But there's some decent quality handicaps at Cheltenham, and then there's also some stuff in Ireland. Tench's got big field, so we'll see how we go on that one. But last thing from me, as it has to be, is just thank you so much for all the support. It's really much appreciated. Just the nice comments, and whether that's a like. I'm getting more subscribers. Equally, there'll be some people subscribe because they'll be on a bandwagon and get very confused and look at those prices and think I'm a bit of an oddball. There's method in the madness, but equally, what I'm doing is not for everybody. If you want regular winners and you can't deal with long losing spells, I am not for you. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not trying to be everyone's cup of tea. I do what I do, some get it, some won't get it. And if you don't get it, that's all right. You go on your merry way. If you don't see any merit in what I'm doing, some will just see this as nonsense. Where I just get lucky when I stick a few big prices together. If that's what you think, you can crack on and think like that. That's absolutely fine. I am more than happy with the rustic approach to my channel. As I will always say, I'm not here forever. I will be here I'm here for a moment in time. I can't be here forever. Like outside of literally giving up so much of my time. it's not sustainable to do what I do, because ultimately everybody would have their accounts restricted, and I think that's just a bit of a watch out for people. The downside of having a really good few days is, and I'm fully expecting it myself personally, is what's the fallout going to be in the next few weeks with various accounts that I use. So the darker side is you can only win for so long. And that might be why I mentioned to you earlier that I happened to be in a betting shop some point. Fortunately, I have not got the profile for anyone to even notice who I am or what I'm doing, so I can casually walk in and place a bet, because I don't go in there very often at all. I'm not on bet watch list or anything like that, and likewise I didn't walk out with a briefcase. I could put it in my pocket, it was fine. All right. That's it. I will see you tomorrow night, and I'll try and get the Tips League stuff sorted. And just to be clear, I need to check what I've been doing. Stephen, absolutely, as he always does, sends me everything over in a timely fashion with bells, whistles, and cherries on top. So thank you, Stephen. All right. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.